Thank you very much. Okay, guys, I'm Shane Ostrom. I work for the Military Officers Association, as you can see. I'm the finance and benefits functional expert there on the staff at MOAA. We're up in the D.C. area. I flew down from D.C. today. I'm a certified financial planner. I worked as an investment advisor after I retired from the Air Force, and then I started MOAA after I'd been an investment advisor for a large brokerage firm. Part of what I did, besides helping individuals with their investment portfolios, when I was in the business, is I also helped businesses put together 401k plans, and then I educated their employees on how to manage their 401k plans. Part of what this is supposed to be about today is not just the new retirement system that's coming up, but it's also was supposed to be an update on what's going on Washington, D.C. with your benefits, pay and benefit issues. I think I may skip through the pay and benefits part, and if you want to talk pay and benefits and what's going on up on Capitol Hill, you're more than welcome. I'll hang around after this and we can chat about that all you want, about pay and benefits and what's going on up on Capitol Hill. In the meantime, I'll just skip straight to the retirement system and let y'all discuss that if you have any questions about it. I want to just kind of mention real quickly about us and why believe us about what we've got to say about this whole new retirement system. I just want you to know, I've been read in by the folks at DOD. I've had a couple of meetings over at the Pentagon with DOD people who are implementing the new retirement system. I've seen their paperwork. I've looked at what they're going to train on. I've read all the magazines and all that, and then all the newspaper articles about it. And as a result, I can tell you this straight up. This is the only unbiased program you're going to hear on the new retirement system, frankly, because everybody else has a vested interest in it. The DOD, of course, has a vested interest in making sure that all people sign up for this because it saves them a ton of money. That's the bottom line. This program is not about anything that you've read about in the media. It's not about helping people or anything like that, or helping the 83%, as they say, who are going to get out of the service early and not retire. It's not about that at all. It's just basically comes down to just saving money. All the newspaper articles that I've read so far, whether it be in the Military Times newspapers or whether it be in Stars and Stripes or wherever else, those guys have not gotten the story right yet. They're very biased towards the new program, just like the DOD is. And then also I've even had, there's a couple of financial services firms that are now getting involved in this program, and they're going to start helping people understand it, and they have a bias in it too because they've got a vested interest in seeing people to become investors, because financial services firms want you to have to invest more so that they can one day get your money and they're going to be able to make money off you. And as a guy who used to do that myself, I know where they're coming from on that. And as a result now, I no longer practice anymore. I work for MOAA, I work for you, I work for the people in uniform, all ranks. And that's why what you can kind of believe in what we're talking about, because I got no vested interest in whether people choose the new system or the old system. We stand to gain nor lose, regardless of what you take, but all we want to do is make sure that you get the straight word before you start getting the bias word as it comes down through the chain. I'm going to skip the part about MOAs and all that. I'm going to skip all of this part about the legislative update, which was about the pay and benefits and what's going on up on Capitol Hill. Like I said, anybody wants to talk pay and benefits and what's going on up on Capitol Hill, I'll stick around after this presentation and we can talk about it. Because there's a whole lot of issues going on up on Capitol Hill about pay and benefits in the military. And frankly, let me just sum it up by saying this. You people are easy targets, okay? Your people are loyal. You're used to taking orders. You have to take orders. You work for the civilian control of the military, and when they tell you something, all you do is you salute and say, yes, sir, 3 bags full. So they know you're easy targets for savings, and that's why they come after military members, and it's so easy. It's one of the few areas of the discretionary budget, too, where Congress can actually take money, because most of the budget, 2/3 of the actual federal budget, is in entitlements that can't be touched, the non-discretionary part, which tends to be almost all Medicare and Social Security. So they won't touch that, so they come after us, is what they do. So anyhow, that was legislative update in a nutshell. And if you want to talk specifics, we can later. Let me talk about this new retirement system now. And so you get a feeling for what it's all about. The disclaimer I've already told you. I don't sell product. We don't have product at MOAA, so I got nothing to pitch to you as far as a product. I'm not out here recruiting any of y'all to be my future investment clients because I don't have clients anymore. I gave it up. We got no vested interest in what your selection is as we go forward. So it's all we want to do is I'm putting my financial spin on what this whole program is about so that we can help people make the best decision possible for themselves and their families. Here's who it affects. If you came into, you got to think, when did you come into the service? Pick that date. If you came into the service in 2005 or earlier than that, you stay in the current system. You will retire under the current system. You have no choice whatsoever. If you came into the service in 2006 up through the future people in 2017, you're going to have a choice. You get to either stay in the current system or you're going to be able to switch to the new system. It's your option. You have to make the option or your choice in the calendar year 2018 is when you're going to be asked to make the choice. So it's all of those people that we're trying to educate, all the people that are coming to service in 2006 through 2017, and all of the folks that came in before that. You folks supervise these people, so we want to make sure you have the right material, right information in order to help counsel the people that you supervise or people that come to you, the junior people that come to you. Anybody that enters in into calendar year 2018, they're going to be under the new system. They have no choice. Everybody's under the new system. If you've been in the service or been affiliated with the service over a period of time, you know new systems have come and gone in the past, and this is just the latest of the new systems. And as you know, they all came and went. So that's kind of where we may find with this one, but we're not sure. I have to provide a little financial education before we get started, and this becomes critical to understand in the new system. I did a whistle-stop tour through Oklahoma last week where I hit Fort Sill, I hit Altus Air Force Base, and I hit Tinker Air Force Base, and I can tell you the misconceptions about the new program are all over the map. And as a result of that, I have to start with some basic financial education because if you don't understand this, you won't understand the new retirement system. We have to talk in terms, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to provide some values so that you can compare the current system to the new system. And so as a result of that, how do you compare the values of something? There's two ways basically, one called present value and one called lifetime or future value it goes by. But my point in telling you this is because in the future, enlisted and officers in the services are going to have to make a choice, and it's going to be affected by which ones of these they look at, whether they look at the future value of something, the lifetime value, or they look at the present value. A way to think about it is that, what I got the pictures down here, the present value of something is like a seedling. And then the lifetime value of something is like the full-grown oak tree out there. So if I talk in future values, I'm talking about the money someone would collect over the lifetime. So like if you retire now, some of us in this audience are retirees, you retired, you started getting a monthly paycheck, and if you got a monthly paycheck every year until the year you died, how much money would that add up to? That's lifetime value. On the other hand, what if I didn't give you this monthly paycheck over your lifetime? What if I just said, instead of paying you every month for the rest of your life, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to give you a lump sum payment, and you have to manage a lump sum to last your lifetime and to create your own income out of it. What would that value be? That's the present value. That's a lump sum. It assumes that you're going to take this lump sum of money and you're going to invest it, and you're going to get a return on it. Now, for the sake of the DOD estimates 7.3% annual return on this investment. So DOD is going to give you a lump sum of money. On some cases, I'll get to these details in a second, they would give you a lump sum of money and say if that was invested at 7.3% over your lifetime, you could create this income from it. So that's how DOD looks at the present. That's how all financial people look at present value. But that's important to understand. So the difference between the seedling and the tree, and I'll show you as we go. Let me start with the current program. How many of you folks in suits are actual military retirees? Okay, funny, I kind of figured that was going to be the case. So that's good. If you're a military retiree like me, you know this is the current benefit. You get a TSP. Some of us didn't get a TSP. I retired before they started the TSP. But the idea is people nowadays have a TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan. It's their version of a 401k, and they can put money into this TSP as much as they like, up to $18,000 a year, just like any 401k plan with a corporation. They don't get a match, meaning the DOD doesn't kick money in on top of their own contribution. It's just their money alone. And then they have the vested retirement, the pension. And the vested retirement starts at 20 years of active duty service, and you get paid immediately after you retire for the rest of your life. And it's based on 2.5% times years of service times your high 3 pay, whatever the average of your highest pay was. And then that works out to a 50% of base pay payout if you retire at 20 years. And if you retire with more years of service than that, it can go up to 75% at 30 years of service. All of us retirees are familiar with this. This is how we got paid. Some of us got paid based on highest base pay at the time of retirement, and that system's gone now. Now it's all high 3. So right now, using current pay charts, if you were an E7 with 20 years of service, you'd retire with $2,170 a month starting. And then you would start at $2,170 a month that first year, and every year you would get a cost of living increase. And that cost of living increase, for the sake of argument, I use 2.5%. Right now, it hasn't been 2.5% for a while, obviously. But the national average, historical average for inflation is 3%. So even though we're at a low point right now, when you look at it over the history, it's usually 3. So I'm actually being conservative in a national way by saying 2.5. But at 2.5% cost of living over 50 years, now you might say, well, why 50 years? Because we already know people are living longer and longer and longer. We're talking about a generation of people that are going to be retired over the next 50 years. And with medical advances from this point forward over the next 50, 60 years, people are already starting to live well into their hundreds. And it's already seen that people are already projecting people are going to live to be 120 in the not too distant future. The other thing is as a financial advisor that I am, even financial advisors figure people are going to live to age 95 to 100. One of the worst things a financial advisor can do to somebody that you're working with is have them run out of money in retirement. So we figure you're going to live to 100. And that way we make sure you don't run out of money. So that's why I picked 50 years, because somebody retiring as an E7 is 38, 39 years old. They're going to make it probably to 90 years old. It's not going to be that big a stretch to think that. That person would end up getting paid $2.6 million over that 50 years with that 2.5% COLA. Then, if you look down on the next one with the officer at an 05, that 05 officer is going to retire at 4137. 50 years with 2.5% COLA, that officer would get paid about $5 million. That's the current system and projections. All I wanted to do in the green part is I just wanted to give you a feel for what is the value of that? I mean, how much does that really mean to you that you would have earned $2.6 or $5 million? What if you just wanted, let's say from the day you started in the service, you started saving so that you could build up your own retirement pension? What would that look like? How would you do that? If you wanted to grow your own pension that equaled 2.6 million or 5 million in this case, you would have to come up with either $527,000 at the from some 0 year of service till 20 years of service. At 20 years of service, you'd have to have $527,000 if you're enlisted, or you'd have to have $1 million as an officer over your 20-year career. You'd have to accumulate that. And if you have a 7% return over the 20-year career, you'd have to be putting away over $1,000 a month as an enlisted member, or almost $2,000 a month as an officer to come up with a pension that you earn from your years of service right now. So I just do that to give you a value of how hard it would be to save for this if you tried to do it on your own. Here's the new, as they're calling it, the blended retirement plan. So under the blended retirement plan, and I say proposed, this is no longer proposed, it's in law, it's a done deal now, it's going to happen. They get a TSP with a match, and they get this bonus at the 12th year of service now. The match What the match does is that, for one thing, in the TSP, whether you're in the current TSP or whether you're in this new TSP, you can put up to $18,000 a year in it. Anybody with a 401k can put up to $18,000 a year in their 401k, even with a corporation. They're all ruled by the same tax codes. And so you can put $18,000 of your own money. If you're 50 and older, you can put up to $24,000 into it. Everybody can. This value of this match and this TSP is in addition to the pension. So whatever you get, DOD is going to do what they call an automatic contribution. Everybody who enters the service, from the day you enter service, they're going to automatically open up a TSP for every new person coming into the service, and DOD is going to start putting 1% of base pay in automatically for you. The person doesn't have to do squat. They're automatically going to get the TSP and the 1%. Then, beginning in your third year of service, DOD will match up to an additional 4%. So you could be getting the 1% automatic plus the 4% match. So you could be getting 5% of base pay from DOD under this match situation in your TSP. Now, the word match is literal. It's just like all of us corporate guys now that we're in the corporate world and we got our 401k. When you get a match, it's because they're matching what you put into it, usually. There are some very generous corporations that don't require you to contribute, but those are few and far between. But the idea is when they say match, you got to put in the 4% to get the DOD's 4% is how it works. And so that's beginning in year 3. The match stops at the 26th year of service, and then you're vested in the match after the second year of service, so starting in your third year. Vested means that's when you own the match money. That's what vested is. How long do you have to work for the company to keep the company's money? So vested in this case means that starting in the third year of service, you keep whatever DOD money. So if you leave the service, you can take your TSP money, all you contributed to it, and all the DOD contributed to it with you to the next job. At the 12th year of service, you get a bonus, and this bonus is designed to keep you in the service till the 20th year. And to do that, you have to sign a 4-year service commitment. So at 12 years of service, I get my bonus, I sign my 4-year service commitment. It takes you out to 16 years of service now, and they figure you'll hang around for the last 4. It worked for a good chunk of us. That's not that we got bonuses back then. The minimum amount of bonus is 2.5 times your base pay as an active duty member, and then you see as a Guard or Reserve person, then it's half of the active duty monthly base pay. So here I give you some numbers here. For an 04 in the active duty world would get $17.45, and E6 would get $89.15. But DOD can pay up to 15 months if they want to. So what we expect is that they're going to end up seeing which, of course, specialties need to be retained, and then the ones that need to be retained, they're going to bulk up this bonus at the 12-year point to retain you more, and then most people will probably get the minimum amount. In addition to the TSP with the match, you get the vested retirement, which is really the same retirement you get now under the current system, other than it's what they do here is this right here. It's 2% instead of 2.5% times your years of service. What that basically means to us is that it's a 20% decrease in the amount of retirement pay for your pension over time. So 2% equates to 40% instead of 50% of base pay at 20 years, and 60% at 30 years versus 75%. So you see, here's the DOD gets a tremendous amount of savings from the long-term payments of most of these military members by doing this. That's a tremendous amount of savings. So of 20 years of service, E7 would retire with about $1,736 a month, which ends up being about $2 million over their lifetime, 50 years with the COLAs. And an officer would retire with about $3,310 a month, and that ends up being about $4 million. And then here I show you that if you wanted to just grow your own pension over your 20 years so that you had this amount that you could pay yourself, you'd have to be dropping about $800 a month as an enlisted member over your 20 years of service to come up with this amount at 7% return. or as an officer about $1,500. So the green part is only to make you realize how important and how valuable that pension plan is. And if it were left up to us as individuals, you probably couldn't save enough for that pension over a 20-year career. So that's my point in showing you that. Let me compare them side by side now so we can see where this is going. The current system, TSP and no match versus TSP with match and this 12-year bonus. Full pension at 2.5% years of service. This pension at 2% times years of service. Here's both have the same COLA, cost of living adjustment. This is what the present value is for the current system on the pension alone, okay? Pension alone. I can't compute what your TSP is going to be. I have no idea how much money you're going to put in it. I have no idea what match rate you're going to get. And I also know from being an investment advisor and being a student of this, frankly, folks, we're terrible investors. And as a result, I have no idea what your investment returns are going to be and how you're going to manage your TSP. And right now, part of this new program is there's supposed to be this massive financial education program that's going to come out to ensure everybody knows how to implement this, and everybody's going to become great investors overnight. American society hasn't been great investors since the 1980s. In fact, it's to the point, folks, where Congress wants to take away our ability to invest for our own retirements through our 401ks and IRAs because we've done such a lousy job of it. We're all going to be burdens on American society as a result of it because we couldn't save for ourselves. They want to take over our retirement savings plans. That's how bad it is in America as a whole, and we're going to put it on our members now, our service members. Little bias, I admit to you, but as a financial guy, I can't quite get over the contrast in what we're doing to people at a time when other people are saying, this doesn't work very well. But anyhow, this is your present value of your pension alone. This is your present value of your pension alone under the new system. So all I did was just move those numbers I'd already shown you forward to this. Here's where some of the biases come in, frankly, because I want you to know when you see and hear this and read it where the bias is. For one thing, every newspaper article I've read and everything that's been put out by DOD so far, when they compare the two systems, they're telling you that all of this stuff is so great and wonderful, and it's okay that you're only going to get 2% here because you're going to get this TSP and we're going to match. And that's a great and wonderful thing, they say. Where over here, all you get is a pension. No. All I get over here is not just a pension. I still have a TSP. But for some reason, when you you read the paper. You go back and you can read it yourself. Read any of the Military Times newspaper articles on this subject or the Stars and Stripes. And they conveniently leave out the fact that the troops already have a TSP. And so that way it makes the new program look so much better, and because now you're comparing just a pension against all of this over here. And you'll see. The other thing is that you find out when you'll start to see the stuff roll down the hill from DOD is the way they portray the lifetime earnings. The way you portray it is if I had the chart up here at this point, but the idea is you start getting paid a certain amount of monthly pay when you first retire. That amount goes up over time with cost of living adjustments. The further out you go, the more that slope gets because it's like a snowball compounding over time. And 2.5% adjustments year after year after 40, 50 years, that slope gets pretty big at the end when it starts to get in nice big numbers. Let's go back to my analogy of the snowball. A snowball going down a mountainside, a 2% snowball versus a 2.5% snowball. If you start out with a bigger snowball going down the mountain, that snowball is going to end up a lot bigger by the time it gets to the end of the mountain than a 2% snowball would because you started out with a smaller snowball at the top. That's how DOD chooses to paint the picture that's how I'm telling you, you should paint the picture of how this value of this pension plan is because over time, the compounding effect of the COLAs, DOD chooses to paint this in what the financial sector calls constant dollar amounts. So rather than say you're going to have a lot when you get toward the end of your years of life, they prefer to say, well, you would have earned this much under the current system, you would have earned this much, and if I average it out over the entire time, well, then it just becomes a straight line. And when you look at a straight line, what happens is that the current system, the current retirement system, is a line that's only a little bit above what the proposed system or the new system is going to be. So it makes it look like, see, you're not giving up anything. Because look how close the lines are when you look at it constant dollar over the period of time we're looking at. And then they add the TSP to the end of it on the proposed system, which says, see how close this pension lines are to each other over your lifetime? And then you add the TSP onto it, and look at that. Wow, you know, now all of a sudden you're making a lot more money than you were under that old pension plan. Once again, neglecting the fact that you already have a TSP. Here's the difference. When you look at the current program values, this is the present values, the seedling, remember on my tree analogy, the seedling versus what the new program value is, and the seedling part, this is the difference between the two programs. So the seedling numbers, if you wanted to make up the difference so that let's say you're in the new program and your pension is going to be less, and you'll say, well, I'll use my new TSP with my match and my 12-year bonus to bulk up so that I end up making up for my less pension. This is what you'd have to do. You'd have to have a 7% return over your 20 years of service, and an enlisted member would have to be dropping $200 a month in there from the word go when they entered the service till the time they retired, officer about $375, just to make up the difference between this pension and that pension amount. So, like I said, I'm only talking pensions up here, but I'm talking what it would take in your TSP to make up the difference between the pensions. So, when you get right down to it, under the new system, you're going to be putting money into your TSP just to catch up to the old pension system, and then you don't start making gravy until after you've caught up with the old pension system. After that, you're making gravy. In the current system, everything you make in the TSP is gravy on the potatoes from the word go, because there's no making up that has to be done. So that's a consideration also. We think the bottom line here is that if you have a choice, well, if you're going to stay under the current system because you don't have a choice, great, you're in great shape. If you have a choice, then here's the thing. If there's any chance you're going to stay in for the full career, stick with the current system. Do not go to the new system. You're going to be much better off. Even if you think you may get out, don't go with the new system. Now, if you're absolutely 100% certain that you're going to get out before you reach 20, then go ahead and take your TSP and your match, because it won't really matter anyhow. You're not going to get any pension to begin with, and then whatever you can get from the DOD in the form of match just becomes gravy before you hit the bricks anyhow. So, but you better be 100% certain you're going to get out, because if you find out later that you're going to stay in and you chose the new system, you're going to regret it, is what's going to end up happening. And I don't know about you guys in suits out here, but I didn't even expect to stay in myself, and I did. And so I might have made the wrong mistake thinking I was going to get out. So always assume you're going to stay in and stick with the old system as best you can. The DOD sold this whole program to Congress by saying, you know, the problem with the current system of the retirement with the pension and all of that is that, you know, only 17% of the people in the service even make it to retirement. So the other 83% of the people who serve in the military leave with nothing. That can't be more false, folks. Anybody that knows anything about the current military, when those people leave, A, they got a TSP, so they're able to take their TSP. It wasn't matched, but they still got a TSP, and they got that money they can take out the door with them. And, oh, by the way, has anybody heard about this thing called the post-9/11 GI Bill? That thing is worth thousands and thousands of dollars to people getting out of the service right now, especially if they transfer it to their spouse or their kids, and especially if they're transferring it to a kid who's like 2 years old, because by the time that kid goes to college, that benefit's going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not like 83% of the service is walking out with nothing. In fact, right now, Congress is looking at slashing the post 9/11 GI Bill benefit too, by the way. So that's something. But even if the idea is that you want to take care of the 83% of the people who leave early and you want to make sure they walk out the door with some money, if you leave after 4 years of service and you had made contributions of $200 a month with you're going to walk out the door with a whopping $11,000. Now, the thing is, too, DOD's making it sound like, look, you can walk out the door after 4 years of service and take your $11,000 with you and go buy a boat or a car or put a down payment. No, you can't. It's a TSP. It's a retirement account. If it's a retirement account, you can't touch the money till you turn age 59 and a half, or you're going to get ripped with tax penalties, and to include state income taxes if you pull it out in a state that you currently reside in a state that has income tax. But they make it sound like this is all free money you're going to walk out the door with. And it's like, no, it isn't, because it's in a retirement account. If you were able to put away $500 a month after 4 years of service with it, then you'd walk out with just under 30 grand. So, and if you end up taking that money out and then putting it in your pocket, you won't end up with a fraction of that by the time you pay all your taxes and penalties. Finally, and I'm almost to the end of this, folks. On the last thing here, the lump sum option. Boy, I tell you, the misconceptions about the lump sum option are rampant up there in Oklahoma when I was up there. But the idea is that the DOD is going to offer people they come up for retirement, you're pension eligible, and they're going to say, look, you've got a choice now. You can take a lump sum of the pension up front, or you can just take the whole pension as you leave the service. If you take a lump sum, you got a choice. You want 25% of the lump sum of your pension, or do you want 50% of your pension in a lump sum? Now, here's how they're going to figure that. They're only going to figure from the time you retire, whatever time period that is after you retire from the service, from that time to the age of 67. Because that's the age of full retirement with Social Security. That's what they're thinking about there. So whenever you retire from the service to the age of 67, how much would you have been paid in pension over that period of time? Well, that's a lot of money, is what it's going to amount to. And, okay, well, now you have the choice. You want 25% or do you want 50%? And people right now are already counting their hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're going to pocket from this. And it's like, it isn't going to work that way. Because the DOD, what you're thinking of is the tree, the full-size tree. That's how you're being led to believe it's going to work. So you're thinking, from the time I retire till the time I turn age 67, the pension that I would have been paid, the full-size tree, I'm going to get 25 or 50% of the full-size tree, and you're not. You're going to get the seedling is what you're going to get. So when you take your 25 or 50%, and then they back it up over the however many years it is from your retirement to age 67, they back it up using whatever percentage they're going to use of investment return. Right now, DOD is using 7.3% as the investment return. So, and I don't know, they could change that, probably will, but right now that's what they're using in their projections. So if you take 25 or 50% of the lump sum, and then they back it up 7.3% for all those years up to age 67, then let's just look at some numbers. Okay, I'm an enlisted member. I retire with 20 years of service. I'm going to get paid $17.36 a month to start. If I got a 2.5% COLA, and I'm going to figure this based on the age 39 to 66, which is 28 years. So that all works out to, at age 67, you would have collected $843,000 by that time. And you get to choose 25% of that or 50% of that. So you're going to get $211,000 or $422, right? And it's like, no, you're not. But that's what the senior NCOs up at Tinker in Fort Sill, they're already counting their money, or the future senior NCOs are counting their $211,000 or their $422,000. That's not what you're going to get, because that's the tree. You're going to get the seedling, and the seedling looks like this. So by the time you end up backing up over 28 years and at 7% return, $211,000 or $422,000, you're actually going to get about $30,000 to, as you see, $60,000. And so, and by the way, If you take that money and you put it in your pocket, that's taxable income. So by the time you pay taxes on those amounts, because that's the pre-taxed amount, you're not going to end up with enough to buy a car. So that's what people have to understand, because right now people are out there, if you know junior people, they need to understand they're licking their chops at this lump sum opportunity, and you need to be able to educate them that it's not going to be what you think. These are the next proposals, by the way. So this law just passed a few months ago to start this new retirement system. Just passed. We haven't even gotten the thing going yet. DOD hasn't even really put out any kind of policies, regulations, or instructions or anything at this point. But all we have is the law. DOD's already proposing changes to it for this next session of Congress. And these are what they're proposing. They want to delay the 4% match from the 3rd year of service to the 5th year of service. You just based the whole argument for this program on the fact you wanted people walking out the door to take something with them, and now you're going to cut all those people who only serve 1 term out of taking anything with them, because you're going to wait until the 5th year of service to even start paying them something now. Well, what happened to all that generosity? Next thing, they want to stop. Right now, the match stops at 26 years of service. They're going to keep it all the way till retirement. Well, that's typical. I mean, that's what every corporation does. As long as you serve, you continue to get a match. They're going to remove they want to remove the mandatory minimum payment. That just says that they want the option to not pay people. Right now, they have to pay people the bonus at the 12th year. There's a minimum amount that they have to pay. They don't want to have to pay some people. And then raise the match to 6% versus 5%. Well, I guess that's a good thing then. Go for that. That's about it, folks. I'm going to stop right there. I figure I'll stick around. We can chit-chat. I can answer questions for you. And if you have any other issues, then thank you very much for attending today, and let me know if I can help in any way as you go forward. Appreciate it very much. Thank y'all. Thank you.